modestly, modestly, I'm going to attempt to say what I'm feeling in my heart. This is my elevator. I'm working on my elevator speech. The only caveat to that is that give me the elevator ride, because there's the elevator speech, right? So you think you gotta get it succinct. No, 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 no. You just need to nail the preface. The elevator's just the preface. Don't try to cram it all into the elevator. Make sure that while they're in the elevator, they got the hook so that when you get to where you're going, at the top, you walk out that door and stand together, face to face, right? Easier said than done. Don't get me wrong. Um, I talk the talk, and I cannot say I walk the walk. Occasionally, when it counts, very rarely. Today, I broke up a crow fight. That was the best I could do today. I couldn't interact well with other human beings. I couldn't do it. I tried, and I thought, let me see this person, let me see that person, let me see this person. With the light that shines through them. And I struggled. The best I can say is that as the war raged in my mind of hatred, I was at least able to stand back from it and say, just watch. I'm observing. My trigger systems are going off, so I'm having all these thoughts that I've had for my whole fucking life. These bad thoughts that trigger back to, it's like this cascade of everything that is. The trigger systems that are built in us are exactly opposite to the beauty system that is intrinsically, naturally built in us all the way down to the ether and to eternity and to God. On the other side of that, in this flesh, like, what are those worms that burrow into boars, into swine, pigs? Depends what we call them and what we call it. It depends what we call an animal when it's alive versus when it's dead. It helps us kill it and then eat it. If something is a pig and a swine and a boorish, as alive, but then once slain and cooked, it's pork, which is a euphemism for the greatest of gluttonous delights. Funny, also, the glory of God's creation. In act, if not in name. Don't get me wrong, I've lived my life on the wrong side of that equation. So, I guess that's at least a partial confession. Of course, I've confessed to that before. I've listened to those who have given testimony of going off the path and then veering back toward the path. I guess I'm about in the middle, which is a pretty dark place. Because I've heard some pretty fucking bad stories. I've also heard other ones, it's like, well, oh, I'm still darker than you, but I'm still fighting for you. Like, as people go, I'm not such a super great person, you know. My life has been a history of lower, middle, upper, lower sins. A litany. My life. Anyway, I just blew my chance at my elevator speech, but now I'll start. If you're still here, I'll start over my elevator speech of, what I dream of concerning the vegan cross. And I've shown this image before, and I feel it's a quite good symbolic. Simple as it is, I feel it's a very rich, succinct, symbolic starting point, a spark. A spark amidst the, what would you call it? The igneous, in a chemical sense, gases. Of course, I have the V for vegan cross, but of course the V has a rich history, both religiously, secularly, in every which way. And one of the things I like about the V is that it's particularly Roman, so we think these days. Most of the time when we think of Latin, we think of Church Latin, which pronounces the V as a V. I took 4 years of Latin in high school, though. Basically, I did pretty good in Latin 1. And about 3 weeks into Latin 2, it was all just like memorization, because I fell short on my declensions and conjugations. I just couldn't do it. I could do it through Latin 1, and Latin 2 just blew my fucking mind. And I passed Latin, I did well in Latin 1, worse in Latin 2, worse in Latin 3, and I failed Latin 4. But it was still worth it. It was still worth it. And I also got a chance to go to Europe for 2 weeks with my Latin club. And we didn't have to pay much because we built like these benches and sold them for money, and people bought them, and that kind of funded a big portion of our trip. What a horrible story. Anyway, well, actually it was nice for me, but probably horrible for you. The V, when we think of Greco-Roman. Oh yeah, I took 4 years of Latin in school, and supposedly it was more like classical Latin, where the V's were pronounced soft. So instead of like veritas, it was veritas. And instead of Vichy, it was wiki. So there's that. And who knows what existed for real in between, such as the dynamics of phonetics go. But what I have just recently come to love about this and my other similar similar V-type images or V-type crosses and so on. Just brainstormed many iterations. Of course, V, victory in Christ, V, the Virgin, the swelling of the heart, the mother. There's no love like a mother's love for her child. So my thought for so I'm going to try to get back to my elevator speech for the promise of the vegan cross. The Virgin's heart. Mary. Saint Agnes. Ruth. In 1,000 years, a young girl, a 5-year-old, perhaps, asks, why why do we believe in God, Mom? Mommy? Mommy, why do we believe in God? Why do we worship Jesus? So many people have many valid answers for that. Many people have many valid critiques of that. I'm trying to offer a peace of mind. My answer. If I had a daughter and she asked me, and especially, I can only imagine, and I imagine about it a lot. I think about it a lot. If I were a mom, if I were a mother, never mind a daddy. I've never had a child that I know of. But if I had a child and that child asked me that, I'd say, or I'd hope to say, I'd hope I'd be brave enough to say. And this is my dream of the future, I suppose. Because this isn't the answer I got. Now that I'm older, I come to know that it's the one that I would have wanted, that would have helped. Mom, what's God? Why do we believe in God? Mom, what's God? Mom, who's 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 Jesus? So this is just my proposal, my thought, my meditation, my contemplation, right? Yes, I am broken and sin, but I hope in the spirit of, many being broken, and I guess I can't equate mine with others, but Picture this, she says. Mom, picture this. Sweetheart. Darling. The great I Am spoke all into existence. The great I Am. In that moment, every other soul had the choice. Am I, or am I not? The great tree of the I Ams grew. But so too, and more so at first, the I'm not. Me? Pff. The I am nots gathered together out of fear. They feasted upon themselves as much as they feasted upon the I Ams. I am not I am, but against the hordes. I am. I am. I am. I am. Though, at the outer edge of the I am is that great it's almost the inverse of the walls of Jericho. Around the great I am, there is an impenetrable fortress. The undeniable I am. Like, are you, am I? Undeniably I am? No. I have a draw to that part of my own self that I share. In small part, I share. I'm way off my elevator speech. Mommy. Mummy. Who's Jesus? Why do we believe in God? Honey, child, my sweet darling. I'm sorry I've kept it from you. I'm sorry I've kept it from you. You see, now that you are older than you were before, you've come to know things you didn't know when you were younger. You're a big girl now. You're a big boy now. And you might be disappointed in me for not telling you sooner, but please understand. If you weren't ready to ask, you weren't ready to receive the answer. Do you understand, my little one? Dear child, my child. There once was a deep, a horrifying place where nothing knew what it was. You and I were there, and we didn't know who we were. But now we know each other. But once, long ago, so long ago, way before Grandma, way before Nana, way before Bumpy, Papa, Grandpa, way before, long ago, we didn't know who we were. I didn't know you and you didn't know me. But now you know that you are you. Darling, you are you. And I am I. And we know each other. We know each other because once, from the deep, all of the hurt and the want and the prayers of the deep gathered upon one soul. We don't know why. Even that one soul doesn't know why. But all of creation was lost together, superimposed, lost. And then one came to place, rised above, looked below. Mom, I don't understand what you're saying. Okay, let's get back to the point. So, you're 5 now, or so, and you understand that we're on Earth. Yes, I've learned about Earth. Okay, good. And the universe. Yes. Okay, yeah. Well, outside of Earth, everything works beautifully, but it's cold and it moves in almost pure mathematics. It works I don't even know how to talk to it. This isn't something I'd say to a 5-year-old. Alright, I'm gonna have to. Alright, so this is a work in progress. I have to reevaluate what I'd say. Okay, so I'm really thinking like somewhere between 5 and 13. Because the whole idea, like. I don't know, man. From my perspective, what I've heard about, like First Communion is like one of its aspects is like you're old enough to receive the sacrifice because you're old enough to sin. But I sinned big, way before 13, you know? And I guess I'd just say, like, honey, when you look up into the sky during the day, you see the sun, at night, you see the moon. When there's no moon, you see the stars. Every other night, every other night, like, half nights, you see the street lights. These lights in the heavens, in the sky, up above. I still am not talking to a 5-year-old. Honey, you know how bright the sun is in the day. Yes, Mom. You know how beautiful and cold a full winter's moon. Yes, Mom. In so many words, I'm doing my best. Darling, that heat and coldness only increase. There's much that exists beyond that, and it is hotter, and it is colder. But here and there are places of much greater joy. And that's what's going on out there, in the heavenly realms. In the inner realms, darling, child, forgive me for telling you this. Do you know how, or can you remember how beautiful a nice spring day is? A spring day, Mom? Or a summer day? Can you remember playing in the grass with your cousins? Or the neighbors, your friends? Can you remember? On a nice day, played some fun games, nobody fought, had some barbecue, ate some cake, whatever. Yeah. Do you think that's how the world is and how it should be? Oh, yes. Yes. A birthday every day. Yes, Mommy. Definitely. Do you think that's how the world is? Yes, of course. That's the world. That's the world. Of course. Okay, so I'm gonna section off from the 5-year-old speech. Maybe I'll get back to it. So I guess yeah, this is the point. If you or I were to think of like the most beautiful sunset at the on the banks of a beautiful ocean or the on the top of a mountain, so on and so forth. The bleak truth is that for all these other species living around us, every single one of them is meat. Every single one is prey. We think, oh, well, no, some are predators, but predators are as horrible to each other as they are to their prey. Sometimes the only shining light are like, for instance, lions who have been kicked out of their male lions who have been kicked out of their den. The ones lucky enough not to have been just flat out killed. Most male lions have a terrible lot, actually. We think of the great lion with his harem, but he had to be a murderous thug to get there, and he will be taken out by the next murderous thug. Period. That's how it works. There really is no Lion King. That's why the lamb's the king. But yeah, the lions who weren't like lions have one choice: be a butcherous fuck. But now since human beings, crystals through which God shines God's divine light, wet crystals. All objects are crystals. Every object, if it there is no object that doesn't permit some spectrum of the light, which is anything that travels at the speed of light. And we always think of the light that we see, and not most of what light is, which is mostly what we can't see. But some species can see other spectrums that we can't. They see things we don't. Just like a black light shows our zits, shows other things. Or at least we think we can't see them, but we don't understand how lifestyle choices can affect the, well, an individual's epigenetic expression. But going back to what a mom might say to her little one, and that's one of my great embarrassments is that I feel like anybody who has a family, they're just like the best fucking people in the world, man. Because I think of my family and I think of like my, you know, the things about my family as I have come to know my family, like what I put up on a pedestal and what I begrudge. And there are many things that I had once put on a pedestal that I now that I have there are many things I put on a pedestal which in the past I've thrown to the fucking ground. You know. Now as I've gotten older and I've held myself along the way in that, I find myself coming back up a bit more in so much as we're all playing this fucking murderous game. We're trying to carve out a piece of tranquility for ourselves in this murderous world. And I guess that's what I'm getting back to in referring to like the beautiful sunset or all these picturesque moments in our minds, which are mostly these days pictorial and not like roots of the earth. But that's the thing about like the imagination and the image and the dream. The dream is mostly of the future, and what we mostly dream of is beauty. Even if we dream darkly, we have this sophisticated dream toward this beauty in the middle of all this darkness, right? If we're very pure, we see this bold, throbbing, electric, flowing, standing, chromatic, ephemeral, organisma. And if any little bit of blackness or vein creeps in, we push that out and say, no. And that's a virtue. I do also dream of that virtue. Unfortunately, has not been necessarily my path. Perhaps I'll get there. My path has been everything is black. All these different blacknesses swirling and twirling together. Partially structured eternity and a mostly unstructured eternity. A very weird place. Darkness. Every kind of darkness. Everywhere. All the time. Eating itself. Over and over again. We think a lot about the path that the sun travels over the earth as the earth moves around the sun. Say that's the popular notion. We can go any which way from there, but there's good enough. But rarely do we think of the source of shadows? The darkness. I shouldn't say the darkness. The shadow. Okay. There's always a shadow upon the earth. There's always light upon the earth. the ring of fire of the earth. What they call the ring of fire is that because half of the earth is always in day and half of the earth is always in night, the ring of fire of the earth is that hemispheric, that artificial, kinda, that's a weird way of saying it, considering that we wouldn't be here without the sun, so artificial takes on the idea of having been man-made. And I guess what I say by, well, I shouldn't say, maybe I should say artiluminal, or artilucidatorial, something like that. Like the way that ring of fire, of light, dances around the horizon, and the way the light and the shadow dance in a flame. If everything were like perfection, if God were perfect without the input of free will, there'd be no flame. There'd be no eternal flame of the ring of fire. But if we know about like acoustics and chromatics and fire holds so much because fire has matter, fire has air. You could say fire is incorporated in the process of water, certainly, because of condensations and evaporations and so on. And if fire's burning in the atmosphere, the water process is enlivened. That's a fact. So water is incorporated. As the perfect fire is the perfect vortex, which of course, especially when heat is involved, and primarily, it's a hot-cold system. So the vortex, the perfect fire is built above, not on the ground. If you build your fire up in the air, then as the heat goes up, the cold comes down and recycles. And if you keep feeding that fire, as time goes on, up and up and up and up and up and up and up, until that movement itself, way up along the way, until that movement itself is so strong, so large, has so many strata, moving in so many oscillational and rotational harmonies, having developed in this life system of breath, with we, us humans, with we, the intent of beauty and science. I mean, it's not a big science experiment, but you build a big fire up on a pyre. Build it strong, build it on something concrete, build it like a water tower, but it will be your fire tower, way up, not too high. Feed it some more, way up. Why? Because then that heat's gonna fall down. When you build that fire on the ground, there's nowhere for that cold air to go. It hits the earth, and the movement's over. That's the problem with pi as the mathematical object, as instead of ta as the mathematical object. Ta is more intuitive. Pi has a protracted utility. It has carried its weight I'm not saying we should send pi to the glue factory. I'm saying we should send pi to the pasture. And let ta take the load for a while, mathematically. It's a simple point, but I don't know, it kind of makes sense. It's more intuitive. I mean, ta over 6. Pi over 3? Huh? What? Ta over 6. Easy. We should start everything at the simplest place. We should start every innovation of knowledge. You know, quote unquote, we're only as strong as our weakest player. So, be compassionate. That's why a compass is so important. Because a 5-year-old can make a circle in 6 circles around it. You might have to teach him for a week. Tell you what, world, right? Teach 5-year-olds how to make a, what do they call it? Seed of life? Seed of life. Teach 5-year-olds how to make a seed of life. Spend 1 week with every 5-year-old and teach them to create the seed of life. And watch everything that is wicked burn. From the fire that simplest of knowledge produces. It's the most basic object of logical understanding, and it reaches the furthest back. Now, I don't mean end there. I mean, make sure every 5-year-old knows that. Why? Because that's the deep. And there's enough room in the deep for every kind of other geometry to be born above it. It's before Descartes. Definitively. Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am." The 5-year-old who learns to compass the seed of life, the simplest object, the simplest contemplative object. We don't even need a straight line for it. We just need a stick with a branch. It doesn't even matter how crooked the whole stick is, the branch is nothing. Because we put one point in and the other point in, the sand, the dirt, the clay, whatever, and we make a circle. There's no way to fuck it up. It's even the dumbest person can do it. So whatever the smartest person can do and appreciate and love, and what the dumbest person can do and appreciate and love, is taking a stick that has, that branches off, simple, any stick, a walking stick, whatever. Stick it in the ground, make a circle, however big you want it. Grab a branch. There's a branch, here's a branch, there's a branch. Cut it however you want it. Put it in the ground. Put the other part in the ground. Make a circle. Doesn't matter the wiggly wogglies. Perfection is found even there. It's the simplest math thing you can do. Little seed of life, 1 circle, 6 circles. It is the primary mathematical object. because you don't need to come to a straight line. Oh, well, no, a straight line. Yes. So we've conceived abstractly. But there's only one straight line in the universe, and it doesn't exist. It's the omega point. And it only appears as a straight line. It's really the entire spherical plane of eternity, but which should be depicted as a point. However, within the magnitudes of numbers that we are actually in, which haven't even begun to be enumerated, there are large enough circumferi that their straightness may as well be granted, or are granted, because their radii are so long as to exceed the resolution of our scale's ability to differentiate between a very large radial curvature and a straight line. Man, I'm so far off from the 5-year-old thing. Yeah, I guess I dream of a future when we'd say, little one, you are safe because those who have come before have made a safe place for our kind. Honey, darling, sweetie child. You see the birds? Yes, Mom. They are beautiful. Yes, Mom. Very beautiful, Mom. The butterflies, the ladybugs. I love ladybugs, Mom. However it goes, sorry if I'm doing a bad job of it. You love, sweet child. You love Nana. You love Grandpa, don't you? Very much, Mom. You love them and they're beautiful. That's what I think. Is that what you think? Yes, very much. I love Nana and Grandpa. Very much, Mom. Mommy? And they're beautiful. They fill your heart with joy? Yes! Now I know this isn't the case for everybody, but I'm trying to speak to a general archetype, and maybe you can substitute other people in your life. Maybe, hopefully, and if not, I pray for that day to come to you. And if you've been waiting longer, it will be more sweet when it comes. Divinely sweet. Oh. And honey, as you know, your Grammy and your Grampy, your Bumpa and your Nanny, very beautiful. Do you do you like it when they smile and laugh? Yes, very much. Mm-hmm. Beautiful, yes? Yes. And they think you're beautiful, don't they? Yes. But butterflies are beautiful. Yes. I love butterflies. They are so beautiful. But they're not beautiful like Nana and Papa. No. No, different. Very different. Yes, Mom, but yes, they're both beautiful. I'm gonna tell you a secret today, child, and I want you to brace yourself. Can you remember the bad days that you've had? Yes, I can remember the bad days. Do you remember how you got through them and then you had a good day after? Maybe even sometimes in the same day? Okay, let me ask you like this. Can you remember when you got mad the last time? Yeah. And can you remember when you got sad the last time? Yeah. And can you remember the last time we laughed together? And rolled on the floor? Yeah. Sweetie, you know how much you love butterflies? Yes, Mom. You know how much you love birds? Yes, Mom. You know how much you love chipmunks? Yes, Mom. You know how cute they are? Yeah. And sweetie, this is gonna be hard, but you're a big girl now. Are you afraid of spiders? Ew! I know that's a stereotype, but most people are. I don't particularly care for them. Snakes? Yuck. Though I welcome anybody who'd be like, snakes are cool, but just the general consensus. Well, for good reason for the big ones. And not even just the big ones. Well, sweetie, the snakes and the butterflies live together. On a beautiful day, when we're appreciating, when we're loving that pretty butterfly flying above that pretty flower. there's always a monster that's ready to eat them. And that goes for the chipmunks. And that goes for the snakes. And that goes for the hornets. And that goes for the birds. It goes for the worms. We are the only thing that exists. You look up every day, you see the sun. You look up most nights and you see the moon. Both during night and day. You may see stars. And you may see those that move. And you may see those that don't. And as big as that is, and far off as that is, it goes on much farther. And there's nothing out there that can do what we can do so far as we know. And here, on Earth, in the world where we live, the only thing that creates safety, the only thing that reliably creates safe space that we know is us. The beautiful days that we, as people now, remember in our lives and look back upon, or look forward to as being the beauty of life and living and family and friends and knowledge and intellect and privacy and prayer and fun and hanging out with friends or whatever joy we know. Whether it is a social or, see, that's the thing too, we create this split between like society and the individual, and it's like, step way the fuck back from that. Like, we're in a privileged place to even have that debate, because whether your bend is toward the social or whether your bend is toward the individual, both personally and politically, and on from there, both are part of the virtue of us and our ability to create the space to even have that dichotomy. Both are virtuous. It's not like trying to find this right way of doing it, or this correct left way of doing it. But that the social and the individual are constructed in the right way. There are introverts, there are extroverts. Thank God. Because if people weren't thinking about shit, all the people who just wanted to experience shit wouldn't have any direction. And if everybody was just introverted, nobody would know what, like, felt genuinely good. But a married introversion extroversion. And this is turning into a shit show, but I'm in this deep. Imagine this. The whole universe out there. Bleak, beautiful, cold in its perfection. these days was rougher back then, and rough shit still goes down. And inside the globe, so outside the atmosphere, that's one thing. All these movements. Cold, man. Doesn't give a fuck who you are. Don't give a fuck who you is. Out there, a speck of meat. In here, a feast of meat. As pray with an E, we pray with an A. There's no oasis in the universe except for humanity. People, human beings, Homo sapiens, that we know of and can all agree upon. It blooms from there. You can't tell me for a moment that the flying fox isn't among those who aspire to the truth. Some of you might know a sweet German shepherd that wouldn't hurt a flea. That's what flying foxes are. And they came about in a much different way, and they only live in one place. And we spend our time saving sharks whose time is limited. Trust me. One of the laws of evolution that hasn't been spoken, and is true, is that viciousness dies. It's actually a propellant. The death of viciousness. The growth of compassion is misidentified as a growth. No. Compassion, well, some people harsh on that word, but what I mean is like love, forgiveness, generosity, charity, or great graciousness. That's actually affected by the teleological pull. As we think, as we dream, as we pray, all forms of quote-unquote magic, a trinitine magic. Because we dream, we hope, and we pray. We hope when we're just like in ourselves and not thinking about what we're thinking about and feeling good and hoping. Like, I want this, I want that. Oh, this would be so great. And we get some, we don't get others, right? Or that's one kind of hoping. That's not, because there's also the centralized willed hope. Anyway, I guess I'll leave the others for another time, but the teleological pull is responsible for that growth of peace and strength. Peace and strength. So that's what I have most prayed for at my best. Peace and strength. Strength to serve the peace. How have I done? I'm not dead yet. I once was a golden bowl. And I'm a clipped twig. But I still got leaves and I ain't dead yet. Still something potentially to give. We'll see. Inside the world, darling. I am not fear. Has gathered together. Because the fear has said what we haven't said. Once again, I'm stepping outside of the conversation to say, is it disingenuous to tell your child that you say something that all of the universe out there, almost, well, yeah, all of it that we know of, except for us that we know of, but that we know of, it's fucking cold out there, man. Even in best case scenarios of large numbers and probabilities of civilizations, yeah. That shit's way the fuck out there. But in here, there's an infinity in here of evolutionary, divinely willed, moral evolutions of not God, but the expression. The expression evolves. The word evolves in time. God has always been the same. Yes. God's the best. And to think that God doesn't get better when we get better is incorrect. God will always be the best. God will always exceed us and outgrow us. God was the first. And there's nothing that we can ever learn that God hasn't learned multifold over. So even if we knew much less, and that meant in this peculiar thought experiment of a contemplation of God, even if that meant, okay, God was less. Like if we were less, could God be less? Yes. And still be perfect? Yes. Why? Because of the enormous multiplicative, outweighing the market share. So far as the dominant organism goes. And God is the spiritual organism of all spiritual organisms. The perfect form of moral dynamic motion. And the fundaments of stasis that sustain it. And a complete understanding. Free will. In a dance. Not a train wreck. Not a multi-car pileup. A marching band that explodes into a Broadway musical that then explodes into a ballet that then explodes into an opera. And every now and then explodes in to a house painter. Why not? Eh? It reminds me, was Jesus a carpenter or was he a carpenter's son? That was smug. I think he'd appreciate it though. Because he called that dude who was like, he's from Nazareth? This is terrible. Sweet child. We believe in God and we believe in Jesus because Jesus killed the coldness of the whole wide world out beyond the sun and the moon. There's so much beyond the sun and the moon, sweetie, and it's a cold, dark place mostly. God keeps us safe from that place out there. Jesus keeps us safe in here from the mouth of the world. You see, darling, I'm so sorry to tell you, but you're a big girl now. I'm so sorry to tell you. Everything in the world eats each other. The birds will eat the squirrels. The squirrels will eat the birds. The snakes will eat the butterflies. The kitty will eat the snake. Though sometimes they'll be friends. Because you see, sweet child, there are enchanted places. Mommy, I'm so sad. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? The squirrels eat the birds. Mommy! Be strong. You see, we are warriors. Warriors? Yes, you know the heroes, yes. Yes, Mommy. You know those heroes you love? Yes. We are like them. Child. We are like them. Sweet one. The world is a vicious place because the world has chosen. I am not. Sweet child, never say you are not. Ever. Do you know me, child? Yes, mother. Do you know, my child, that I know you, that I love you? Yes. Yes, Mommy. Know this, sweet one, this blessing, your birthright. The knowing that we share, that we are, that you are my girl, my boy, that I am your mother, your father. That is more new, shining through you to me. What do you mean, God? I mean, God wishes at every single moment to save, to preserve. Death, the bad one, the I am not, the fear, always pulls toward death, eating life, always. And you and me, Mommy, Daddy, Grandpa, Grammy, Auntie, Uncle, your friends, your teachers. We are the only ones who can stop the world from eating itself. It's wonderful that we can share our safe, nice times together. We love birthdays. We love Christmas. Yes, sweet one. Yes, Mom. We've been lucky enough to carve out these special days to commemorate our achievements. Of our human, divine family. But every day can't be like that. We do those things to remind ourselves of the future that could be every day. But every day is not like that yet. And it will never be that way, sweet child. Until we put the mouths who feed on flesh to rest. Well, it's a good start.